You're listening to the Fezcast, the Saracens fans podcast, bringing you the independent and unhinged views of the voices in our heads, as well as those of our special guests. To get in touch with us, find the Fezcast on social media and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube and more. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy this week's show.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
Welcome to the Fezcast, or good afternoon or good evening or whatever. We're recording Monday evening after a heart attack-inducing semi-final at Stonex. Alex, you were there. Have you calmed down yet? Because, I was jumping on the settee. If you've seen our WhatsApp groups, I was moaning about the referee, which we'll have a talk about a little bit later on, but he redeemed himself. But that was something else, wasn't it, on the weekend?
Yeah, it was. I've definitely calmed down now. But it did take a while to get home and just be like, we did actually win. It's okay.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? We did actually win, and given the results in the other semi-finals and everything, that was a banana skin way to happen. And fair dues, we got through it. But we'll discuss that in the second part. Our first part, also joining us tonight, is Duncan and Sam M. Good evening to you, gentlemen. How are you? Obviously, Alex has got a young heart. She can cope with it.
My old ticker's totally buggered. So, I did well to survive it.
Sam, I take it you enjoyed the result.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, it was. I was a little bit on tape delay because I'd been out in the afternoon, so I was catching up with it. So, I was getting your commentary before I was actually watching it. Great result, and a bit of just breach magic, which we'll come on to, no doubt.
Indeed, we will. Well, before that, though, we need to send some congratulations because last week was the Premiership Rugby and PWR, the Men's and Women's Player of the Year's Award. And basically, Saracens cleared up, which we'll talk about the men first, Duncan. It's quite impressive that the breakthrough player was Noah Calori. Well, I can't think they could have given it to anybody else, really. And Player of the Year was Tom Willis, which considering, we said last week we didn't perhaps have the greatest of seasons. It was fairly an average season, shall we say, at best. To get the Player of the Year and the Breakthrough Player of the Year must mean we did something a bit all right, or at least individuals did. And it's a team game, so it's they need the other players in the team to help them, don't they?
Yes and no, because with Noah Calori, he is just a freak, isn't he? Everybody's talking about him. He does these things that gets everybody excited. Although in the last two games, actually, Tobias Elliott had a better game than him. But nevertheless, he's got the X factor. I've sent a video to rugby league friends of mine who hate rugby union. And even they had to say, wow. Yeah. So he just got that. It's the same with Tom Willis. So we talked about it before. I've said he careers around like a pinball. And I was extremely pleased to hear. I missed the Saints playoff game and people were saying that George Martin was outstanding. I saw the Bath game and Barbary had a decent game as well. But Tom Willis is indisputably in the World 15. We can have a debate about other players, other Saracens players being in there or not being in there, and there's a case for more. But indisputably, Tom Willis is there. And he's going to be a big hole to fill.
Yeah, not only for us, but also for England as well. And I think that's the criminality of it, is the fact that England couldn't find a way to keep him in this country, whether that being, up in his wages for England that makes it easier for him to stay at Saracens or whatever. The fact of the matter is, it's a young lad with all that talent and we've let him go. And I hope he doesn't come back to bite Steve Borthwick on the arse, Sam, but I think it might well do.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for Tom, not only Tom, but Jack as well. I think both those Willis boys, really good players. Looking from the outside in, and obviously don't know anything at all, I think the England thing swayed more on his decision to leave than the Saracens thing. I don't think Borthwick wanted to guarantee him or say that he would start every game or be in every squad. And also, let's not forget that Jack's gone out there and become the player that he was top 14 player last year. But we have a wealth of generational talent in the back row as England. And I think those two boys are head and shoulders above everyone else. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah, you've got the top 14 player of the year and Prem player of the year, and they're not going to play for England in their pomp and their prime. But hey-ho.
Well, it's something that England do over years, isn't it? They overlook great number 8s. I mean, Zach Mercer, Tom Willis, me.
Sam Simmons as well, wasn't it? I know he was Exeter, but when he was in, had an absolute amazing season, Eddie Jones wouldn't pick him either. There's a history of it, isn't there, unfortunately?
There seems to be. It's one of those, isn't it? But let's move on to the women, Alex. And, I mean, we talk about the men clearing up. The women even cleared up even better. And, I mean, Liv Apps, May Campbell, Zoe Harrison, all winning their awards. And we discussed them last week when we said that they were up for it. We couldn't see anybody beating them, Alex. And we were right to say that because they are well-deserved and proved it on the weekend, as we'll talk about in the second part.
Especially Liv Apps, she joined us as injury cover and actually has then stayed the whole season. And to win PWR Player of the Year just shows the impact she's had on Saracens. And hopefully, she'll stay for the next couple of seasons because actually the impact that's made on Saracens, on our speed of ball, has definitely made us better this season. And also for Zoe Harrison, her kicking's top class. She's one of the best kickers in the world. So actually that made a massive impact on England during the Six Nations and during the World Cup of saying we've got a kicker that we can rely on to get kicks regardless of where on the pitch it is. And that was really key for England.
The Canadian influence on this team at the end of the season, which we'll talk about again, as I say, is important. But I think the important one is Kevin Rouet has really obviously stepped up in his involvement with the team, Duncan. And you can see that in the attack that, he's got players that he trusts there, the likes of Liv Apps, that then bring on Zoe Harrison, Jess Breach, who we'll talk about, Emma Hardy, Sophie Bridger, Sydney Gregson. Alex Osterbury didn't get Coach of the Year. Barney Madison at Ealing Trailfinders got it. And, fair dues to him. I think he deserves it, given what Ealing Trailfinders have done this year, to gone from not ever qualifying to get into their first final. Barney's done a great job there. So, I mean, I don't think Alex would begrudge him getting that award here. But Alex is obviously, I think, has identified where he needs help as a coach and gone out and got Kevin Rouet on a more permanent basis, probably after working with him in the World Cup for Canada, and it's reached rewards, hasn't it?
It's a fantastic arrangement because clearly there's a very close relationship between Saracens and Canada because Alex Osterbury was coaching Canada during the World Cup. And now Kevin Rowe has come back and doing the same thing. A relationship that Saracens quite clearly could never have with England because it would be wrong of England to work so closely with one English team. But with Canada, great for both sides, isn't it? It means that Kevin Rowe gets to work with a huge chunk of his team all year and coach them. And in terms of the influence on the team, it's fantastic to watch. That's jouer, the French way of playing is there. He's a French coach. You just play what's in front of you. But interestingly, yesterday, Sunday, it led to Exeter getting 2 tries. Because if you notice, there was, when the ball came to the back, it was sort of like, oh, where's Zoe Harrison? Where's Zoe Harrison? Because when Zoe Harrison gets it, she kicks it to the halfway line and it goes out. But when she's not there, they suddenly started flinging it around, made some horrific mistakes, and Exeter scored. So, yes, going forward, absolutely brilliant. Not always so great in defence.
Let's talk about the women's season as a whole, just very quickly, because, I mean, we'll go into greater depth in future programmes about it. But, Sam, there was a stat brought out by Nick Heath on commentary that said that this year Saracens lead the offload charts with an average of 18 offloads per game, which is a phenomenally high amount. You then compare it with who's second, which was Exeter, with 11, an average of 11. So we're almost offloading twice as much. That's obviously a coaching philosophy that's come through and girls have actually bought into and are developing.
Yeah, no, they really have. Like you say, when it's that high amount, it is a part of the philosophy and it's the part of the plan. So it's kind of changed the way they've played this year, and it's been really, really good to see. But yeah, like you say, sometimes defensively it's a little bit tough as well, but going backwards. But it's good to watch, and Liv Apps really is fantastic, isn't she? Really, I just watched her yesterday, and I was just thinking, really, really good. It's quick, it's fast, it's decisive, and yeah, it's all part of the plan.
It's testament to both Ealing and Saracens that they're two teams who played without fear this year. And I think Exeter as well, to some extent in that semi-final, played without fear. Whereas Gloucester Hartpury seemed to suddenly the weight of the four-pet, or whatever they're called it, or the quad-pet, or whatever stupid name they give these things these days, their fourth title suddenly weighed on them very heavily over the last 3 weeks. And they've had, 3 defeats in 3 weeks, which has really destroyed did destroy their season.
Saracens definitely came with a point to prove this season, saying, yes, we lost the final last year to Gloucester Hartpury, but we're going to show that we can get up to that final. We can hopefully win it. And Trailfinders have just said, actually, we're going to invest our team. We're going to bring people like Meg Jones into the squad, and we're going to push and show that we're a competitive side. We're not just there to make up numbers. And I think Gloucester Hartpury might say, oh, we've had injuries, we're missing Mo Hunt, but actually Saracens are missing May Campbell, and it's not made a difference. We're still winning. We're still putting in the same performances. So actually, I think, yeah, definitely the other team, Saracens, Trailfinders and Exeter, kind of just said, we've got a point to prove. We're going to show that Gloucester Hartpury aren't the only team in the league that can win it. Other teams can go and do it and can beat Gloucester. And actually, that's what Trailfinders have done twice in the last 3 weeks.
The only shame there is that we don't get to beat Gloucester after being beaten by them twice this season. But there we go. That's life. Let's have a break there. And then when we come back, we're going to go into a bit more depth, the semi-final at StoneX against Chiefs Women.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
Hello, this is Akina Gondwe of Saracens Women, and you're listening to the Fezcast, and we are both proudly sponsored by the Saracens Supporters Association. For a £10 annual subscription to the SSA, you'll get the chance to buy tickets for away matches, receive a regular newsletter and an exclusive SSA badge. They also arrange pre-match gatherings and player-coach events. As well as sponsoring both me and the Fezcast, they also sponsor Louis Johnson from the men's team and the Saracens Foundation Track Club. Not bad for £10. You can join up at membermojo.co.uk/SSA. Enjoy the rest of this edition of the Fezcast, and I look forward to seeing you at StoneX. Come on, you Sarries.
This is the Fezcast.
But it's Jess Breach to try and make amends for Saracens. Gets the fend out, Jess Breach to go all the way in the corner. 50th club appearance has Jess Breach just helped Saracens back into the PWR final.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And yeah, wow. I mean, where do we start? Well, we start right at the end, don't we? Jess Breach in a game that was absolutely nail-biting, heart-attack inducing, edge of the seat, to and fro, bish, bash, bosh, and a war at StoneX. Jess Breach with one piece of absolute class. And I don't think there is an Exeter Chiefs women's player now, Alex, who will ever want to kick down Jess Breach's throat, because they're Jess Express it, full paced in it, and just, wow. I mean, how do you describe that try, Alex, other than wow?
Both her tries, like she used her pace to beat the defenders, and the second one is what won us the match. And I think it's just showing like that's why she's good at fullback, because actually she has a bit more time when she receives the ball to then react, to get through the space and get scoring those tries. And actually she's shown that, you know, she's had some injuries season, hasn't always played, but actually she's gone on to show that she's still one of probably the best fullbacks in the league. And actually she's almost competing with Ellie Kudum for that starting role at England because of how well she's done in the last few games.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you make there, Alex. I mean, what do you think, Sam? I mean, Ellie Kildun obviously is going through, some difficult times with her club career and where that's going, and things are happening off field. Is she losing a little bit of focus here, there, or everywhere? I don't think she is. I just think, she is a poster girl for the game of rugby in this country and such a popular. But Jess Breach, I would say, if you're just picking on rugby form and rugby performances, she's your England 15 at the moment, I would say.
Definitely on form, but reputation and obviously who Ellie is, maybe that has a different thing. But, they're very close friends, aren't they? They get on well together. Switching to fullback has made the difference, really. I mean, that was a fantastic try at the weekend. She's deceptively quick to me. Do you know what I mean? She's like an absolute whippet. And if you're picking on form, it is Jess, but how would you leave Ellie out?
You say she's a whippet. I think she's more of the power she has in her legs is unbelievable. You look at her physiology, and I'm not mentioning the Instagram post she put up the other day, which would probably have broken the internet because she looks amazing in it. I mean, fair dues. I'm not saying that in a dodgy way or anything like that. She did look absolutely amazing, but she has such power, and the pace she has is. It's quite interesting that I think what she does is, Duncan, is what David Campese used to do and always used to say. Because someone said to David Campese, how do you run at 100% all the time? He says, it don't. He says, what I do is I hit 100%, beat the man, beat the player, and then I hold it at 80%. So I've got pace in the locker, as it were, that if I need to go again, I can go again. And I think that's what Jess does beautifully, is that she's got that initial pace that she can then harness and then go again. Jason Robinson used to do it as well, fantastically. Go full trap, slow it, then go again if needs be. It's an amazing talent, isn't it, Duncan?
It is, and I'll come back to Jess Breach in a second, if I may. But just on Ellie Kildunn, the one thing about Ellie Kildunn on form, her form for England has never been anything other than 5 million stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why for England, oddly enough, whenever we see her play for Quins against us, she's not that brilliant. We contain her. Now, maybe that's our defence. Maybe it's Quins, her not getting the same opportunity for Quins as she does for England. I don't know. But that's why she won't be dropped, because she's done nothing for England to deserve to be dropped in favour of Jess Breach. Not to say Jess Breach might have scored those opportunities as well. Who knows? But you can't drop Ellie Kildunn for that. On Jess Breach, that try, it looks spectacular on the YouTube highlights that I've seen. It looked even more spectacular sitting there in the East Stand, the way that she weaved her way across the field, and a few things you couldn't see on the TV. Like, there were opportunities for people around her, but the pass was never really on. And she just beat everybody. And it is the try of the season, not just because it's an amazing try and an amazing run by her, but because of the time when it came and the effect of the try. We were going out. It took that piece of brilliance from Jess Breach for us to win that game and get into the final. Otherwise, we were going out to, as Olivia Apps said after the game, probably the better team on the day.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, in the heat of the moment, Alex, I was on WhatsApp and I was moaning a bit about the referee. And I don't think the referee had the best game, but I don't think he had a bad game. I did want to pick up on the one thing he did say. At one point, he turned around. And again, I bring my wife in because she always has the odd pertinent little thing. She said she noticed that it was very much like when Sarah Cox refereed us against Gloucester Hartbury, that he was having conversations with Exeter Chiefs girls, no problem at all, but was telling our girls to go away. And he wasn't under the same. And he did turn out at one point and say, I'm being consistent. And I just he wasn't being particularly consistent at that moment. The issue, though, was, as Duncan says, the Exeter Chiefs, the majority of that game were the better side. But I suppose it's the secret of a really good side is not playing your best and staying in the game and then finding that moment of class to win it. I mean, if that game had finished on 74 minutes, we were out. We couldn't have complained, could we?
Yeah, and I think Exeter did play a really good game and actually especially used the period of time when we were down to 14 players to their advantage to get ahead, to kind of really put the pressure on us just before half-time. But I think Saracens, we just had that almost extra bit of we're not losing this game. And it took that bit of kind of magic from Jess Breach to say, I'm going to make this run, I'm going to score this try. Actually, it kind of was that determination for Saracens of, we're just going to keep going and we're not going to lose that game. But actually, Exeter probably were the better team on the day and definitely capitalised on our mistakes.
There were a couple of key moments, I thought, where a 50-50 didn't go our way, and the prime example being that Emma Hardy's try that was chalked off. And fair dues, it was chalked off because there were knock-ons in there. But how they missed Flo Robinson's initial knock-on into Emma Hardy that then caused Emma to knock on. I mean, if they'd come back and we'd had the scrum to us, even though Exeter were getting away with a short bind on Donna Rose every time, and we're just caving in and we're getting away with it. I mean, a different referee, a different day would have penalised that a lot more differently, Sam. But, you know, those key moments, right up until the point that Poppy Cleal didn't get done for a pretty dodgy clear-out. But everything had gone against us. And it was that clear-out by Poppy Cleal that went unpunished, which she probably shouldn't have done. For the second week on a trot, she's hit someone a bit naughtily. I think we would have definitely lost that game.
Towards the end, yes, we were out after 73, 76 minutes, whatever it was. But we started to get the calls, didn't we? And Exeter's head started to go a little bit. And I think that experience and being there a lot more in the past, we started to get the calls and the tide started to turn a little bit. And yeah, then that little bit of magic changed everything. But yeah, Poppy Cleal's a bit of a lucky lady, isn't she? Let's say so.
I wouldn't want to be arrested by her because I mean, that's going to, yeah. But I don't know how much of with Exeter was they suddenly got, and we see it an awful lot of times when you're playing against really good sides, and you're perhaps a lower ranked side, as it were. And Exeter aren't that far behind Saracens, but it was almost a case of we're going to win this game. And you see it in so many different sports. I remember my mum always used to say about tennis players. You see tennis players who will be 5-1 up in the final set against a really top quality player, and they'll suddenly think, I'm going to beat him here. And it just, the game goes to pieces. And that happened to Exeter a little bit, didn't it? Because as wonderful as Jess Breach's try was, there were numerous moments where she should have and probably could have been stopped.
Did you notice she actually ran round that, forget her name, the red-headed player, who's probably the fastest player on the Exeter team? But just before coming back to that, I sometimes wonder whether rugby is good for your mental health, Jez.
Oh.
Because everybody will listen to you complaining about referees on the show. You should hear what he's doing during a game. There's an almighty worldwide conspiracy against Saracens in every game. But there you go. You usually come to your senses in the end. But the thing about Exeter that really impressed me was how great they were going forward. We had so much trouble, not playing badly apart from the odd howler that I mentioned earlier, stopping them advancing towards the line and scoring. And they were absolutely brilliant going forward. And that was the reason why it was a great game. We were good going forward as well. They were good at attacking. Neither side were having a howler defensively, subject to those howlers. But it was just a great nip and tuck game of two teams really, really playing well. And as you said, it's good for the league that there is a team like Exeter in it who can be competitive with us.
I think that's absolutely right. And I think this season has shown is that other than the games where we should have won by an absolute country mile, if you remember, Bristol took us close, didn't they, Alex? And it was only a last-minute penalty from Zoe Harrison that got us that win and got us over the line. Another clutch player coming up with a clutch moment in a game of rugby. And there have been other situations where we've perhaps been, run a lot closer than we would have done 3-4 seasons ago, maybe, which... One, I think is good for the game of rugby, as Duncan's just said, for the women's rugby. But two, it's good for us because the last thing you want is people turning up and thinking we're just going to win this game. And having a really hard game against Exeter Chiefs, like we did, having seen what Ealing Trailfinders did to Gloucester Hartbury, there's not going to be any complacency in that camp whatsoever, is there, Alex?
That's what we need, is to be pushed and actually to say, yes, we won, but actually there are multiple things we need to improve on in the next 2 weeks. We need to get our restarts right for one, and actually say we need to keep improving, because if we make the same mistakes that we did against Exeter, Trailfinders will capitalise on them, and then we run the risk of losing the final. So actually, I think we needed to be pushed in order for us to make sure that we put in the work in the next 2 weeks to be in the best position possible to win the final.
Now, I know what I would do if I was Coach Sam, and what I would do is I'd bring in a referee, and I would say to that referee, we're going to play some warm-up games, and this is likely to be my first 15, and I want you to penalise them off the park in every warm-up game we play. Whether it's fair or not, just ping them for any slight infringement and get their mind working round that they have to come on the referee's side. Because although I said the referee wasn't perhaps brilliant, I don't think he was bad. But, Marley Parker, she was slightly unlucky, but she got yellow carded because there'd been a culmination of penalties being given away. And we put our bodies on the line in defence. We hit everything in defence. We try and turn ball over in defence time and time and time again. Sometimes discretion is the better part of our life.
Yeah, that will be the best thing for them. If you can get that, what they're looking for, and get that mindset, it's only going to be a good thing.
I mean, how about you, Duncan? I mean, are you worried about their lack of discipline at the moment and the fact that we do seem to give away more penalties than anybody else? Or is it more a case of we're quite happy to give away penalties because the rewards when we do get it right, because you're in that position. It's something we said about Maro Itoje, isn't it? You'd rather Maro Itoje go playing and getting yellow carded because he's playing on and over the limit, as opposed to someone who's holding back a little bit, trying to second guess a referee.
Well, given that a lot of the penalties are given away right on the line when you're always running the risk of getting a yellow card, I suspect that they don't want to do it. It's interesting with the Sarah Cox comment that you said, because David Loxton was obviously complaining bitterly that she was allowing Gloucester to say things and we weren't allowed to speak. And now you're saying it's happened a second time. Comes a point when that's not referees picking on us for no reason, is it? Might not be there yet, but, too much of a coincidence at some point.
I don't know. I mean, you look at who we've got captaining, and I mean, Marley's she'll call a spade and hit you with a shovel if you don't like it, won't she? Zoe, though, is very quietly spoken, very politely spoken, and I think that chalk and cheese kind of, Jekyll and Hyde almost way between them. You've got Marley as a captain at the moment who's going to be driving you on and shouting and come on, Saracens, come on, whatever. Whereas, Zoe's that more calm, measured kind of captain. Does that not work? Does that not get referees on side if it's Zoe being lovely and polite as she always is?
Proof is in the pudding. As I say, it's not necessarily there yet that it's an indication of our behaviour being the problem. If you get another referee who's behaving like that, then it definitely is, because we don't get to hear everything.
No, you're right. Now, the last thing I want to mention about the game, and the last player I want to mention, is because we talked about the players who've been really, really good, but one player made a difference in that last 10 minutes, I feel. And, the back row had done some really good stuff. Sophie de Goody was doing good stuff. Julia in the second row was fabulous. Probably came on in the second row. But the one player who seemed to galvanise everything and really ups their performance and dragged the rest of the team with them was Georgia Evans, Alex. And I thought she had a huge impact coming on in that second half.
Yeah, I think she definitely did. And I'm not sure why we didn't bring her on earlier, whether it's because Marley had had that yellow card, so actually we thought she could go a bit longer. She could keep putting in kind of the performance before we brought George on to kind of keep the performance up. George has actually spent a lot of time on the bench this season because we've brought in more Canadians who've got those starting spots. But actually she's had a massive impact off the bench all season and helps keep the energy up, keep kind of the attacking kind of prowess up and just going at it. And actually having someone come off the bench like that is really useful because it just keeps the intensity up when maybe the opposition is starting to slow down a bit.
It is that. It's keeping that intensity up, isn't it? It's just there's no let up. And when there isn't a let up, it just keeps it going and going and tired legs out there, and it takes its toll eventually.
Now, of course, before we move on, the last thing we need to say is that was the last time that we will see Marley Packer in a Saracen shirt at StoneX. And it was lovely to see that she got a lovely ovation from the team and also the crowd. Obviously, we mentioned it last week. We knew she was off last week, but we didn't know where she was off to. It's going to be bloody weird seeing her in a Quinn shirt, isn't it, Duncan? I mean, that's number one, isn't it? But interesting that obviously the decision was made between them, and there doesn't appear to be any rancor. I read the article, the interview that she gave to the BBC website. You know, she wants to play. She's a player. She's got her coaching badges, as Loxley mentioned last week, but she doesn't feel ready to take that on. Saracens have obviously said, look, you know, we can't offer you playing contract for next year. And it's understandable, isn't it? And I think Marley clearly has understood that. She's not going to stand in the way of youngsters coming through. Maybe Quinn's is better suited to her at this stage of her career, particularly with youngsters, baby coming along. It's nearer home, nearer schools, all of those sort of things. So it's completely understandable that way. But Quins are a team that perhaps aren't at the highest level where Saracens are. She'll add to that team, no doubt. But is that going to be a better home for her tail end of her career?
I think she would have stayed at Saracens had she had an offer. And she, as you say, you can't blame her going to Quins because it means she doesn't have to move house. And that is, you know, a big deal. And with the loss of Ellie Kildunn, Quins have probably got space in their salary cap to be able to accommodate her, which Saracens won't have, because with a salary cap of, is it something like £220,000 a season, which is nothing, there must be some horrible, horrible decisions at the end of every season, especially for a team like Saracens, who have got so many players that they want to hang on to. And it's good that Marley can understand what must be the horrible decisions that Alex Osterbury was facing and was able to go along with it without rancour.
It is a shame, isn't it? I mean, I think, you know, Marley Packer, as she proved on the weekend and has proven throughout the Six Nations, she's a valuable player to any side. It's just not necessarily when you got players that are perhaps 5-6 years younger. That we've invested in some Canadians, as you mentioned, Alex. That day was always going to come, and you perhaps, you know, you'd have hoped that she'd been carried off in a Saracen shirt. Well, we get fairy tale, don't we? She goes out in the final and shows what she could do in a Saracen shirt one last time.
Fair play for her to saying, actually, I've not got Saracen content, but I don't want to end my career. So actually, I'm going to do what's best for me and my family, and I'm going to go to Harlequins, and, you know, that's what's best for her, and fair play to her. But I think, yeah, she'll now hopefully be going, okay, we're going to win this final. I'm going to win one more trophy in a Saracens shirt. And then that will be the end of my Saracens career. And then I can go and play for Quins. Rather than just going, oh, well, I'm leaving, I don't care. She's not like that. She's going to want to win one more trophy with Saracens and put her best performance out there when it comes to the final.
Talked about it last week in relation to like the likes of Owen Farrell and whatever, that, you know, do they need a degree of separation? You would imagine that Marley, she's got her coaching badges. She's going to be a coach. It's obviously where she wants to go in the game. A degree of separation from Saracens before perhaps she comes back might be a really good thing, Sam.
It's odd, isn't it? You know, that there's this great rivalry and we don't like them and they don't like us, but there's many a player, lady and man, that have come and gone between the two clubs. It's been a while since someone of Marley's status and stature has gone that way as opposed to coming this way. But yeah, it's probably going to do no harm at all. And she wants to be on that Lions tour, doesn't she? Let's face it. So that's the best place for her. And like you say, hasn't got to uproot, you know, move and all the rest of it. So good luck to her. And yeah, hopefully she gets that fairy tale ending in a couple of weeks' time, because it doesn't always happen, does it, in sport? And hence last weekend with Mark.
Yeah, I mean, it broke my heart when Tony Diprose went to Quins, to be perfectly honest with you, and that's 30-odd years ago.
Yeah.
But then again, I'd never forgiven Paul Ince for leaving to go to Manchester United from West Ham, so, I mean, and that was even longer ago, but there we go. Shall we take a break there, and then we'll come back and finish off and just discuss a little bit of paperwork, as it were, that we need to sort out.
This is the Fezcast.
Well, welcome back, everybody, and I see Duncan sat there now. He's grey-haired anyway, so, I mean, it's not too much of a problem, but you've been working hard at it this week. I mean, you're collating up all the messages that were not recorded, were sent in for our special show that we're going to do about Mark McCall.
Yeah, we obviously weren't clear enough for many people. Please send in a recording. We've had some great messages, and I'll be putting them together this week for next week's show. And we'll be putting out the link again on social media. If you're not on social media, then please go to Fezcast on Buzzsprout, find this episode, click on it, and there you will see a link to hit to send us a message. Do not send us a written message. Please record a message for us.
Oh, yeah, please don't send a written message. My inbox flashes up, and I was like, well, you've got fan mail on Buzzsprout. I'm thinking, no, we haven't. But I could ask my dad to do it, but it's his technology, you know. It's not the easiest thing in the world for him to deal with. We're looking forward for this show and talking about Mark McCall and everything. I think probably best, though, that we leave it there, because we got some busy time. Well, Duncan, you're going to be really busy now, aren't you, putting all these together for this 4.5-hour show that we're going to have about Mark McCall, obviously.
It won't be that long. We'll have a few minutes worth.
Well, Alex, Sam, and Duncan, thank you very much for your time tonight. Not long to go now to the end of the season. We've got plenty coming up. Obviously, Mark McCall show. We've got a special interview as well for next week with one of the women's players. And then it's women's final and reaction to that. And our awards, Best Cast Awards of the Year show. So I think there's only 2 shows to go now, isn't it, Duncan?
We'd have to do the awards on the same programme as the women's final, though, so it might be 3.
It might be 3, yeah. So, yeah, we might rustle it up to 3 more shows. But, yeah. Anyway, thanks, guys, for your time. And thank you, everybody, for listening in. We'll be back next week with a special show for you all to enjoy.
This is the Fezcast.